Hi, this is Tom Lane, DM2 Software's Vice President of Sales and Marketing. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Business Insights Explorer webinar. Before I introduce today's presenter, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. Because of the number of attendees we have on today's webinar, everyone's phones will stay on mute. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the question window that you see on the lower right of your screen. We'll try to get to everybody's questions before the end of the webinar. If we don't, we'll follow up with you individually via email on that. Today's webinar is being recorded. As soon as the recording is available, we'll post it on our website along with the presentation slides and onto our YouTube channel as well. As soon as it's available, we'll send a message out to let you know when these are able to be downloaded and viewed. On that note, I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Rob Pierce, our Vice President of Professional Services, to give you an overview of Business Insights Explorer. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be running the presentation in edit mode. We had a little problem with screen resolution, but we will improvise and overcome here. So the topic today is Business Insights Explorer. It's just one of several BI tools available in the software. And let's just dive in. When I think of a computer system, an ERP or CRM, it kind of makes a good analogy to a tool chest. Inside this tool chest, there's all kinds of tools available to you. Some of the software tools may not be quite as apparent as to where they're all at, or what's a proper use case for them, or exactly how do you use them. But I'm trying to make this analogy that tools, can extend your capabilities. They can make it quicker, more efficient, improve service. Understanding what tools are available and learning how to use them properly and what are the right jobs to apply them for, it could be a legitimate competitive advantage. So today we're just going to be exploring some of the business intelligence tools. Before that, I always do this quick little commercial, so just humor me for this slide. You guys have a great tool set. Sage CRM just recently got ranked #1 in the small medium business market. It finally overtook Salesforce.com. The back office, Sage ERP, has been #1 for as long as I can remember, for years and years, and continues to be so. Inside of this ERP CRM package, there's quite a few business intelligence tools. There's the SQL Data Warehouse that DM2 developed. Sage Intelligence is this real-time Excel-based financial reporting tool that also goes throughout the rest of the enterprise and the front office. There's Sage Alerts, which is a real-time business alerts mechanism for exception reporting. And Business Insights Explorer is just another tool in this suite of business intelligence. So the whole Sage package, recommended by more CPAs than any other. It's SOX compliant, PCI compliance. That's a big deal, especially for anybody handling credit cards. It is a modern platform. Sage and DM2 over the last 7 or 8 years have been rewriting all of the procedural code into object-oriented 3-tier architecture. This is the most modern language out there. We have an enterprise-class paperless system. There's going to be hybrid cloud connected services coming online. That's what all this new coding and technology is going to enable. There's full web portals for e-commerce and customer self-service. We're supporting more and more mobile devices for not only the sales team, but back office or executive information systems. Lots and lots of supplier interfaces, and it's a complete open architecture with published APIs, so you can interface with any other peripheral systems or expand your whole business intelligence architecture. So it's a great tool set. Of the 400 VARs, or value-added resellers of Sage in North America, DM2 has been ranked #1 in the top 1% for each of the last 14 years in a row. So we have a lot of experience with this platform. For over 20 years, we've been putting petro or energy distribution features into this. So this great package, world-class software, has been enhanced specifically for your industry. And we have 20 consultants on staff with a combined 300 years industry experience. So the common conversation I find as I'm engaged with customers is, how do we get more value out of our system? And I'm going to make the case today that Business Insights Explorer is a great tool to get some additional value. So there's a couple of approaches to come about learning it. One is what I call tool-centric. So This is more like your IT guy or a business analyst. There's kind of that do-it-yourself mentality. They just want to be aware of what are all the tools inside this tool chest, what are some good use cases for them. And then if they find a nice match, they're kind of curious about, well, now tell me more about it. How do I use this tool properly to get that job done? And then we also come across some customers that are a little bit more business focused. So they know what the jobs are in their company. They know where they're struggling, what takes manual effort, where do we have some inaccuracies, or where do we just need more visibility into what's going on in the organization. And they'll reach out to DM2 and ask us, what's the right tool? Can you get us the right training for it? So either one of these is perfectly fine. It's just a couple different ways to learn more about your system and what it's capable of. So kind of getting back to today's topic of BIE, or Business Insights Explorer, that's what the BIE is for. This hierarchy here is representing business intelligence in general for the whole enterprise. So at the top is the executive information system. This is the classic business intelligence. It's been around, for years and years. This is the really expensive, high-end, or used to be anyways, high-end solutions.
Hey, Rob, this is Tom. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've just gotten I got a note from Denise in an email that came in that said they're not able to see your whole screen. Now, I'm able to see your entire screen, but apparently they're not. So let's see how we can do this. Let me unmute Denise. Hey, Denise.
Hey. Actually, I had sent that initially. It looked like I was not having a problem after he did a look when he decided to go from edit mode.
Oh, okay, so you're okay in edit mode? Because
yes.
I did get it. I just got an email as well saying that they were having trouble seeing.
No, now it looks fine in edit mode.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
thanks, Rob. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no problem. So the software has quite a few different business intelligence tools, and kind of understanding when do I use which tool for what purpose. So at that executive level where you're looking, I want to analyze my business across multiple business lines and across multiple periods and years. I'm working with millions of records, very large data sets. The SQL Data Warehouse solution the DM2 put out is the great tool for that. Sage Intelligence is becoming more and more capable, so it's actually moving up this pyramid. When you get into the management information system, so these are people that typically have oversight over a particular business line or a particular function, and they're more interested in what's going on a day-to-day basis, weekly, monthly trends, or perhaps a quarter. So they're working with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of records. This is where Sage Intelligence, Crystal, Sage Alerts, again for that real-time triggering or exception reporting, those are great tools at this level of need for business intelligence. At the bottom here, I just kind of made this up, I'm calling it transaction information system. So these are the people that are processing orders, processing invoices, processing cash receipts. Anytime you're doing actual transaction processing, the tool that makes sense for them, you can put in some alerts. Crystal Reports is great, but this is also a great sweet spot for Business Insights Explorer. So the promise of business intelligence is that every person at every desk could benefit from greater insight to the data in the system. We could all use some kind of information to do our job a little bit better. And finally, there's something that's coming down this pyramid that's in your software. It's stock. There's no additional charge for it. It's just a matter of learning a little bit more about it and finding those good use cases for it. At the end of this, we're going to go into a live demo and actually use the tool and all that, but I just wanted to at least show it to you early on. This is what the Business Insights Explorer window looks like. It's kind of Excel-based, and this main area here is what's called the data grid. So it's a live window into your data. So it's not like you're running reports or pushing data or updating or anything. This is your live data. So this is a window into your live data. And this window at the bottom part, these are preview drill downs. So for example, if I've highlighted a customer up here, I could look at what are all of their open orders, or what's their sales history, what's their payment activity. It's additional detail about whatever you've got highlighted up above. So we're going to certainly come back and go into this a little bit more. So this BIE tool, what is it? Just what are kind of the features about it? So first of all, it's real-time interactive data. So as I was saying, you're not pushing out data. It's not a second version of the truth. This is a live window into your data. It's got data mining capabilities. It's got reporting capabilities. It's got lots of file export capabilities. And it also has quick access to tasks. So if I'm in a customer view, I could really easily pop over to writing memos for that customer, processing a cash receipt, generating a sales order. It's a different user experience. And we'll talk about this in just a minute, but it's more of a knowledge-centric cockpit for someone to work through as opposed to going through the classic menus. Again, it's stocking your MAS system, so MAS is getting rebranded to Sage 100. So what you used to know as MAS 90 or MAS 200 is now being called Sage 100. So it's a standard feature in the software. Depending on what version you're on, they've been enhancing it more and more. What I'll be showing you guys today is in 4 or 5. It has many Excel-like features, so there's that grid view we just saw. You could sort, group, subtotal, filter. It's got some charting capabilities, but they're kind of weak. If I want to do any visual infographics, I do it out in Excel. And what it does have that Excel doesn't are these pre-built views. So I was talking about how I could highlight a customer and kind of look at them from different perspectives throughout the company. How are they doing on payables? How are they doing on, on receivables? How are they doing on sales activity? All kinds of perspectives. There's all these sharing options. You could email. Once you've got the data that you want, you could email it. You could export it to a web page, XML, full MS Office capabilities. You could do mail merges, MS query definitions, get it out to Access. There's lots of things you could do with the data. And as I mentioned a minute ago, you could also get quick access to the other common tasks you might want to do with that customer. So for all these reasons, it kind of reminded me of like a Swiss Army knife. This isn't just a tool for a purpose, it's a multi-tool. So it can be used for a lot of different things. And I think the challenge is to find out what are the proper use cases for your particular organization. So coming up with some generic use cases just to try to get those wheels turning where you could think of how this tool might be applicable to you. Kind of the classic transaction processing is someone's given me a bunch of source documents. So I've got this pile of checks to process, a pile of orders, a pile of invoices. I've got something that's handed to me, and now I'm going to go into one of the menu items inside of the system, and I'm going to process cash receipts, or I'm going to do order entry, something like that. In these cases, the front-end side is pretty much known to you, or maybe you're downloading it electronically, and then you go through the task menu. It's a pretty clear workflow. The way you do it is pretty consistent every time you do it. So a possible good use of BIE might be as a control point. Now that we've taken this information and put it into the system, anytime you hit an accept button or an update button, you're sending information out through multiple other tables inside the software. So you could build views into those other tables as kind of a cross-check. Is all that information I just sent into the system accurate? For example, you could put summary information in here. You could say, okay, I processed this into the system. I could have a view built that says, well, today I did 35 orders. Those 35 orders consisted of 300,000 gallons, and those 300,000 gallons generated, $50,000 in revenue. You could get summary statistics on all of that work you did, and once you've got those statistics, if there's somebody who's interested in them, you can push that information to them. So that's one possible generic use case, as I said, just kind of get the wheels turning here. This one, I think, might be a better generic use case. So some people's jobs, take a collections agents, for example, they know that they need to make phone calls today, but it's really not clear to them who they're going to call or what's the best order to make the calls. So they need some kind of intelligence to help them do it in the most efficient or effective way. the classic way to do this is print a report, print an aging report, sit there and spend time analyzing it and trying to figure out who to call and when to call and what have you. One of the views in Business Insights Explorer is pretty much a live aging report. And I'll show you guys later how you could configure it to have exactly what data columns you want and what to get rid of to clean it up. And you could sort it and arrange it any way you want. And once you've got it the way you want it, you could save it so you don't have to rebuild it every time. But this is, you got visibility into a live aging environment. So if other people in the company are doing things like processing invoices or cash receipts, you're going to see that activity get presented to you in real time in this aging report. And then the last generic use case is knowledge sharing. So back in the 80s, Peter Drucker recommended this kind of an exercise. He says, make a list of all of the people who you depend on for information and list out what is that information. And then also make a list of all the people that depend on me for information and what is that information. And his point of this is, and this is in the 80s, he's kind of foreseeing the future here, and he says what will be interesting on this list is it's not so much who you're reporting up to or who you're reporting down to. He says the most important names on this list will be those lateral people, the people that you're coordinating with to accomplish work, coordination and collaboration. So this is that transaction processing layer I was talking about. If you think of a transaction workflow and how those pieces of data and pieces of information are going from one desk to the next, that's a great application for Business Insights Explorer because you could see that data flowing throughout the system throughout all of these various views. This slide is just showing that it's capable to have multiple views open. So you guys all know that the Sage product is it's a Windows multi-window environment. So I could have, for example, sales order entry open multiple times. I could have it open for multiple company codes if I wanted. And this Business Insights Explorer honors all of that as well. So I might have a customer view open on one side and an inventory view on the other, or a vendor view. All the different views that are available, you could have open here. So in this slide, we're just trying to go through some example, a little bit more specific use cases. So collections is a great one. I've seen quite a few customers use it for that. I was talking to some other consultants just trying to get some ideas. They said they've seen sales managers or sales people look at it. So it's not just a customer view, but there's a salesperson view, there's an inventory view, there's a bill lading view, delivery scheduler, card lock, purchase order, accounts payable. There's a lot of these pre-built views in the system. So that's why I'm trying to say this is like business intelligence for everybody else. Every desk can have something to help them be a little bit more effective at doing their job. So now we're going to move right into the software, and I'm going to kind of cover two different elements. One is how do you configure these settings? So we're going to open up a view, and I'm going to go through all these different components here of building. Well, I won't build a formula, but how to move columns, look at row values, preview, and then at the end save that setting, and then we'll show the drilling capabilities and some of the export options. So we're in Sage 100, module, Business Insights. So the module is called Business Insights. Again, this is not something you had to purchase extra. Everybody should have it on their system. Inside this module, there's three menus. The dashboard, we're not covering that today. At the end of this, we're going to talk about a DM2 University class coming up on Business Insights, and it will cover all three of these menu items. But for today's webinar, we're just focused on this third one here, Business Insights Explorer. And just a minute ago, I was talking about all the different views that can come packaged with it. So these account ones are all general ledger focused. There's customer, salesperson, more customers, vendors, inventory, sales, shipping, purchase order, and then DM2 has added in a few for card lock and delivery scheduler and bill lading and a few others. So I'm going to focus on this customer view. And this is what the window looks like. And I'll just describe some of the main areas. This one right here in the middle, I'm going to scroll this down so I can resize these grids. This is called the data grid. So this is that main view into the live data. And it's built on columns, so it's got this table format, kind of the Excel experience, if you will. So the first thing I'm going to show you is column selection. So I could just right-click on any one of these column headers. I'm right-clicking, and I'm going to column selection. And what this shows us is a little window. It's one way to move fields onto or off of. So suppose date established was something I wanted onto my live aging report. I could just drag it over, and now I've added it to my live query. If there's something in here that you did not want, you just grab it and you drag it off. So column selection is just a real quick way to add stuff or remove. The next one is column settings. So same thing. You guys, if you're familiar with math so far, you know there's always more than one way to do something. You could do it off of the text menus, you could do it off the icons, or you could do it with right clicks. I'm just kind of used to doing things with the right clicks. So I'm going to go to column settings. This one's a little bit, it's got more functionality. So I could do things like add and delete columns to the report. Try to show this to you. So here's the hold column right here. So if I unclick this, notice that it goes away. And if I re-click it, then it comes back. So that's one way to put fields onto and off of the report. You can also change the titles on the report. So if I wanted that, instead of be hold, put credit hold or something more descriptive, I could. And this is where you could create formulas. So if I wanted to add up certain numerics, so all the aging categories, for example, if I wanted a column that represented anybody who had aging 3 and aging 4 together, I could write a formula that adds up those two aging buckets. Or if I want the total balance, I could add up all 4 aging buckets plus the current balance and say the total outstanding receivable. It's pretty sophisticated. It's got a lot of pre-linked tables, so you have access to data from multiple tables. And the functions that are in here are pretty sophisticated too. So there's some time intelligence functions in here. And of course, a lot of the great substringing text functions. A lot of the things you'll see in Excel are in here. Rounding, trimming, replacing. So it's got a pretty robust formula writer in it. Some of the other things you could do, I'm not going to show you today, but it's certainly going to be in Denise's DN2U class, is you could do custom formatting. So I could make all of the negative numbers come up in red font so they stand out a little bit more. So it's got some pretty good capabilities in there. Moving columns is next. So if you're not comfortable with how the data is presented, moving the column is as simple as drag and drop, just like Excel. The row values, so there's a scroll bar here. I've got more data than, let's say, that my screen could present at one time. If I just put my cursor on a particular row, it's going to show me all of the other data elements that are not on my screen. So instead of sitting here and having to scroll back and forth, I could just hover over this header of the row, and it'll show me the rest of the data. So it's just kind of a nice feature there. It's also got highlighting capabilities. So if there's, let's suppose I got a large data set here and there's 1 or 2 records that are of particular importance to me, I could highlight it, I could hold down the control and click another one. So this is just standard Windows functionality. I could click here, or if I hold down Shift, then it grabs everything in between. So these are just ways to pick individual records that are of interest. Maybe you're doing it just for highlighting purposes as you're looking at the data, but there are also other capabilities. For example, if I'm doing a file export, you could have it go with the selected records only. So it's just a quick way to get data out of only the data that you're interested in. The preview capabilities. So I have a customer here, And when I highlight them on AVNet as the customer, if you look down below, it's showing me sales history related to that particular customer. And if I click on Breslin, now I see Breslin's sales history down below. This preview screen right here is a way to change what you're looking at down below. So I'm looking at their sales history right now, but if I want to look at their contacts, then I would click this. So for that same customer, instead of looking at their sales history, now I'm looking at their customer contacts. And if I want to see their memos, I click on memos. Let me find someone that's got some. There we go. So at the bottom screen now, these are the customer memos related to ABF. And if there were memos for these other customers, as I click on those customers, you would see their memos down below. If I want to see payment information, invoice history, open invoices, again, it's just a quick way to move through the data. I could go across multiple customers, and I see that preview getting updated in real time. So you can see these are all of the different kind of perspectives or different views of how you want to work with that particular customer. So now we're going to look at the grouping, filter, and sorts. So if I wanted to group, so for example, division. Maybe as a collection agent, I only work on Division 1, so I just simply drag the division field up here, and now this whole report has just grouped by division. It's a small data set, so here's all my Division 1s, it breaks, and then you see Division 2s. So that's a grouping feature. If I want to put a filter on here, there's a couple ways to do filters. One is, this is kind of like Excel, where you just do the drop down, and I could, pick on 01, and now I see only 01s. That's one way to do filtering. It also has, over here on the right-hand side, what's called a filter builder. And this allows you to write much more complex filtering formulas. So you just simply click into it, and so I can say division is equal to 01, but maybe I'm also only want the ones where the hold is equal to an N. So this goes on and on. You could add as many of these rules as you want to filter down the data set to exactly what you're looking for. I'm going to cancel that. Then sorting capabilities, just click on any column header. So I'm sorted by customer. If I click on it again, now it reverse sorted by customer. I could do it by customer name. So all of these columns, all you have to do is click on the column header, and it will sort top to bottom. And if you click it on a second time, then it will sort bottom to top. The summary feature. So here's one where I'm going to the toolbar, and there's a summary footer, and there's a group summary footer. So the summary footer would be for the report total, whereas the group summary would allow me to have totals every time there's a change in group. So when I click that, here I'll click it again so you can see the difference. Right below Division 1, see how there's really not any real estate to put any totals. It just immediately goes into Division 2. But if I click this field, it opened up a new row here. And so below all the numerics, there's kind of this empty box. So I'm going to right-click into it, and I'm going to say I want to sum this up. So now I have a sum of the current balance. And of course, I could do that for the rest of these numerics as well. But you could also do min, max, counts, averages, things like that. So it kind of knows what the numerics are and where you're most likely going to do some of that math. But it also allows you to do things. So for example, if I wanted to know how many customers are in Division 1, I could right-click below the customer field and do a count, and it's telling me that there's 7 customers who are in that division. Okay, so let's say you spent some time and you've got your real interactive live agent report dialed in to exactly what you want. It's the customer group that you're assigned to, and it's sorted and arranged so that the most important ones are at the top of the list. Now I could go up here and save it. So I'm clicking the save icon, and you could name it. I'm going to say Rob's aging. I could do it as public or private. You do private if you don't want other people modifying it. And now I'm going to close out of this. So I'm going to come back into Business Insights, Explore, and I'm going to go into the customer view. So by default, I'm in the standard view, but I just hit the drop down, and that one that I created is now available. So I will just select that, and all of those changes that I made and I saved are now available, and I've got my customized aging report ready to go for me. Okay, so that was kind of the configuration and setting side. It's not everything that this software is capable of. As I said, there's a lot of other formatting and charting capabilities. If you're interested in those things, getting a little bit deeper into this, that's where Denise's DN2 University class would be good. I went to the preview. I went to, the export options. So we talked about it a little bit in the PowerPoint, but in the export options, there's a Microsoft Office merge. So if you had some form letters or form documents you wanted to merge data into, you could do that. There's exporting out to Access. I know some of our customers use external databases for additional data reporting or integrations. Of course, it goes out to Excel and Word, query definitions, XML, web page, and text and comma delimited or tab delimited. And I think I talked about it, but I didn't show it. Here's over on this right-hand side. So preview is the way to highlight a customer and look at them from various perspectives, and the preview panel is the lower panel. The task feature is how, if I'm working with the customer, there's a high probability that I might end up needing to process a cash receipts or generate an invoice or update something on their customer record, a memo, for example. So this is just another way to get to those tasks without having to go out to modules, accounts receivable, main, customer maintenance. It's just got quick one-button access to those common tasks for this particular view. All right, bring our presentation back. Something I didn't show today, but I just at least want to speak to it. Custom Office is another standard feature in everybody's software, and it's becoming more and more advanced. It's a way for you at the user level to add fields to various screens without hiring DN2 or getting any custom programming done. So it's a way to configure your software without getting programming. So for example, let's suppose I wanted a credit ranking field on my customer maintenance file. Instead of hiring DN2 to get programming for that, you guys using your Custom Office module, it's a standard module, it comes free with your software, you could add that field to your customer maintenance screen. And what's important about that is anything that you're adding to these screens, now that it's in the new framework, it's all object-oriented code, that field is actually in your customer maintenance table. And because that customer maintenance table is being read by Business Insights Explorer, that field is now available to you in Business Insights Explorer. So if I created this credit ranking field, let's just say I ranked all my customers ABC, and I'm a collections agent, and I created that BIE view for my aging report, I could have this credit ranking field be there and use that to sort and select on, because maybe I want to start with my C customers and work my way through the B's and A's. So part of the fun at working in DN2 is we have a really bright and innovative customer base. We get surprised all the time by how you guys come up with creative solutions and ways to use these tools. So we're trying to share with you some of the core capabilities and features and functions and some ideas, to get you guys thinking about it. But it's just amazing some of the solutions that you guys come up with. So if you come up with something, whether you're really proud of it or not, I would just love to hear what are some of those real-world uses you guys are finding for this particular tool. So if you don't mind, you can either call me or just drop me an email. I'd really appreciate learning more about what you guys are doing with this particular tool. Or if you have an idea and you're not quite sure that BIE is the right tool, just let me know what your business case is, and I'd be happy to suggest, what I think might be the right tool for you. Okay, I'm going to hand it back over to Tom.
All right, thanks, Rob. Very nice job. Great overview there. This is normally the point in our webinar where we promote the next month's webinar. As you know, we've been doing free monthly webinars for probably about the last year and a half, pretty much every month. However, we decided to take December off, and instead I'm going to promote, as Rob mentioned earlier, the DM2 University classes that we're holding in December. These are all going to be handled by Denise Austin. She is not only a professional service consultant at DM2, but she does have SAGE certified trainer status. So when we go through SAGE Paperless Office, SAGE Business Insights, she's actually using the same curriculum that SAGE has invested, a lot of energy, a lot of money in developing, the curriculums for that. So she's actually going to be using those. What you're seeing here is the calendar view of our website, and the hyperlink that you see right there would take you to this view. If you look at the categories, you'll see we've got pretty much every event that we attend, the DM2 University classes, the webinars that we're holding, the trade shows that we exhibit at are all listed on the calendar. You can use the categories function right there under events when you get to the web page to just sort by the DM2 University classes, and this is what you would get. So you can see we've got 3 classes scheduled. Each of these classes, there is tuition. The first 2 classes, the Paperless Office and Business Insights class, are really hands-on classes. Denise will be using a web tool called ReadyTech that allows her to basically work with your computer directly with you. So there is some hands-on as a result of that. You do have to register at least a week before these classes start, because there is some material that she needs to send out to you to get ready for that. And then a new class that we've just introduced that's going to be on the 19th of December is a new DM2 University year-end payroll processing class. One thing to point out is everyone who's on version 4.3 or later has SAGE Paperless Office. That's a standard feature. And as Rob pointed out, SAGE Business Insights is also a 4.3 standard feature. So anybody on 4.3 or later can take advantage of those classes. The year-end payroll preparation class is for customers that are on version 4.4 or later, and Denise is going to walk people through actually getting the payroll tax table updates off of the SAGE website and walk you through the steps of actually updating your system with those. And those are only available for 4.4 or later, so that's one of the prerequisites there. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to plug these classes. We will actually be emailing invitations for all of these classes. The SAGE Paperless Office one has already gone out several times. Next week you'll see the one for the Business Insights class as well as the year-end payroll preparation class. So on that note, we can open it up for questions. First question I'm seeing is from Shara over at Reisner. She's asking, can you view more than one preview pane, such as memo and contact information?
You'd have to open up 2 BIE windows, so I could have 2 customer views, one of them drilling down to the first one and the other one drilling down to the second one. But I can't have multiple previews open at the same time with one BIE window.
Okay, thanks, Rob. That's the only question we have at the moment. You know, as Rob mentioned, the Business Insights class that Denise is doing is going to go into that portion of it in detail. So if you know what you saw today has got you interested and you want more training, you know, that's definitely the class you'd want to sign up for. And it doesn't look like we're getting any other questions right now, Rob. I know that's a lot of information for people to digest. If you do have any questions after we end today's webinar, feel free to email us at sales@dm2.com, like you see on the screen here. We'll be happy to follow up with you. As I said before, we are recording today's session. Once the recording is available, we'll post it along with a copy of Rob's presentation on our website and send you an email to let you know when that's available. That usually takes 24 to 48 hours before we get that ready for you. And again, if you think you have any other questions, feel free to email us. I want to thank Rob again for doing such a nice job. And I want to thank everyone for attending today's Business Insights Explorer webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.